Well, let's talk about someone who has apparently perfected the sweet science, certainly based on Saturday night's performance, and that's Terence Crawford. Few people predicted that he would dominate Errol Spence in the fashion that took place, although many were picking him to win the fight. Were you surprised, taken aback by how clear and how one-sided, if we're honest, the fight was?
Yeah, I also picked Crawford to win, but I had no idea that he would dominate him in such a dominant fashion. I mean, just incredible. And Spence is a big, strong guy and a good puncher, and his punches did not fade Crawford one bit. I mean, he was just so impressive. The other thing is that he's fought his whole fight as a southpaw. This whole fight he fought as a southpaw, and he obviously knocked Spence down with a jab. I mean, he's just such a talented fighter. Clearly, by far, the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. And what a mythical great matchup would be a prime Mayweather versus a prime Crawford. That would be an absolute dream matchup. And I got to tell you, looking at Floyd ringside, and he's a great, obviously one of the greatest of all time. I feel that his competitive juices are flowing, and if I would have to take a guess, I feel like in his mind he's pondering: should I come back? Should I fight Crawford? I really think that is going through his mind. Was he 45, 46 years old?
Yeah.
Obviously, some years, over his peak age. But I do believe that there may be a possibility that Floyd will want to come back for this one. And if he does, and if he beats Crawford, then he's definitely the greatest of all time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I could see him pondering it, and I could see it being a huge money-making event, but I would fear a little bit for Mayweather in that case, not just because of his age, but because it's been so long since he's had a competitive fight.
Well, yes, I agree with you. But you know what? From a fighter's perspective, he does go through training camps to get ready for these different exhibitions that he does. It is the rush of being in front of a crowd and performing. So while he's been professionally inactive, he has been active to some capacity. So it's not like he's been hanging out and kind of relaxing for 6-7 years. He has been competing, and he has been staying in shape. Obviously, not competing against the elite level that he did when he was younger, but I would say that he's still a world-class athlete. Maybe not a world-class fighter to fight with guys like Crawford, but he's still a world-class athlete, and it's really refreshing. A lot of times you see older fighters, they put on a lot of weight and they're really out of shape, but a guy like Floyd really takes care of himself. Bernard Hopkins is another guy, and looks like, like they can come back in the ring today and do some damage. So it's really great to see, and a great example to other fighters and to other athletes to take care of yourself and to look after yourself. And he's one of the guys that's has maintained his great conditioning.
I've heard a lot of people speculating about Crawford's future or immediate future. And he's just made the biggest payday of his career. He's become undisputed in a second weight class. In terms of motivation and being adequately compensated as well, where does he go? If it's not a rematch with Spence, and I know that's a possibility it could be next, where else can he go to make that sort of money and to get those juices flowing?
Yeah, it's very difficult because he doesn't have Spence was his rival, and I don't think that he has one at this moment. I would think maybe in the UK, if Conor Benn can get some quality wins, obviously deal with this licensing situation. But if he can get some significant wins under his belt, I believe that his fight can be a really big one. But just looking at the boxing landscape, all the other really good fighters are a weight or two below Crawford, or a weight or two above him. So people are talking about him versus Charlo versus Tim Tszyu. Those guys are too big. So like, he may fight them just for the money and for the spectacle, but it's not really a fair judgment of his talent, of his abilities, because those guys are really big. And a lot of times, the truth shall set you free. We see fights, one very good fighter against another good fighter. People say he's a world champion, but he's coming up 2 weight classes or a weight class. And that's such a big difference. Why do you think fighters squeeze themselves and put on, 15, 12, 17 pounds after the weigh-in? Because if they go up to the next weight class, their skills and their ability is not going to be as good as it is in a lower weight class if they can make that weight in a healthy way. So going up in weight class takes away from your ability to box. It takes away from the skills. I know it sounds a little strange, but the physical, professional boxing is a lot about physicality. So you have to be able to impose your physical strength onto somebody. And when somebody is bigger and stronger, you feel it. It's a different feeling, and you're not able to showcase your skills in the same type of way, whether somebody's the same size as you are.
And with that in mind, there's been a lot of talk that if Crawford Spence rematch does take place, it'll be up at 154 pounds. A move that you would imagine would benefit Spence far more than Crawford. Would you see a different outcome? Do you think it helps Spence's chances, the extra weight?
I think it definitely helps his chances. I also think that it gives some life to the rematch from a public point of view, because he can blame, and the press can kind of blame the lack of performance on the weight. And I would say that there is some substance to that. Definitely the weight had something to do with it. I mean, one of the things that I saw when I saw Spence walk into the ring, the whole week his face was just so gone and so tight. You could see his jawbone. He was so dried out. But the day of the fight, he looks like he put on maybe 20 plus pounds. And really, I've heard that he walks around at 100 and high 80s, 90s, like wow. 180, 190. So that's really, really big. So I do think that the weight will make a difference, but I think that Crawford still comes out on top. And I've never seen Spence's, from early in the fight, face so damaged from punches. And what's interesting is that some of them didn't even really look like big shots, but he was so accurate, and his technique and his precision is just so incredible. One of the other things that I was so impressed with is his judgment of distance. He was able to judge distance offensively and defensively, and it's just such an incredible high-level skill to have. Only the true great fighters are able to judge distance just like in the perfect way to take away the fighter's offense and be in position to land their own shots. Inawi, who's a very good fighter, one of the things, if you pay attention, when he fought Stephen Fulton, and he's a very good fighter, and I believe has a really bright future ahead of him, but his judgment of distance is very good, but it's not as good as Crawford's. He stepped out of the way very far, put himself out of position. He put the other guy out of position, but he put himself out of position. And great fighters in their peak are able to great fighters are able to judge distance and judge those, minute couple of inches or feet in a very distinct way. And Inoue still does not have the sharpness in the eyes for that. But I think that he will, but it's still not there yet. So if you really judge just based on skill, and people are like arguing who's the best pound for pound fighter, I really believe that Crawford is number one, and number two is a far second.
And let me ask you then, just before I let you go, some quick cross-generational picks with Crawford involved. We'll leave Mayweather till last, as you mentioned him already, but yeah. Crawford against prime Manny Pacquiao at welterweight.
That's a very good fight, because Manny Pacquiao is explosive and is very fast. Great fight. I don't know, Manny Pacquiao in his peak versus Crawford. Great fight. I don't know. I can't pick it. Can't pick it today. Maybe next week.
All right. Crawford, De La Hoya.
Oof. De La Hoya was one of my favorite fighters. And, man. We have to leave it mythical, because I don't want to pick a winner that one.
All right, we've got two more, so you're gonna have to pick some winners this time, I think. Crawford, Sugar Ray Leonard.
Yes, that's another favorite guy of mine, Sugar Ray Leonard. Oh man, I want to say Sugar Ray Leonard, because he was just so exciting and so explosive. But then, how can you pick against Crawford? He's never even been stunned. He's never been hurt. So it's very hard to pick against the guy who has the skills, the power, the speed, and the chin to be able to deal with that stuff. So I would have to say maybe Crawford, maybe Leonard. We could just go through them, but I don't want to pick a winner. It's too tough.
All right, Crawford Mayweather, and then the prime Mayweather, or the best Mayweather was at welterweight.
I think I would have to give a slight notch to Crawford.
Wow.
I know it's a bit. And I could be wrong. You know what? I take that back. I don't know, because I'm thinking, as I'm speaking it, I'm thinking to myself that Mayweather beat Miguel Cotto. He did struggle with Zab Judah for the first 4 or 5 rounds.
Speed, yeah.
And Zab was a bit past his peak, and Crawford has some of the same qualities that Zab has had. If you put me to the wall, maybe Crawford would be a slight favorite.
Okay. Well, I think we can agree that if you make Crawford a slight favorite over a prime Mayweather, perhaps Floyd shouldn't think about coming back at the age he is now.
Well, you know what? Floyd is a great fighter, and one of the things that great fighters do is that they upset the critics and and the people that have opinions. You know, their opinions may not count. So Floyd is such a great fighter that while I can articulate my opinion, I could be wrong, because Floyd is one of the greatest of all time. So much respect to all these great fighters. It's almost, I almost feel like it's like I feel bad about, even though it's mythical and it's like, not real, I almost feel like guilty about picking the winner in those fights, because it's it's kind of like not fair to their legacy in a way, So I say all these fights end in the draw.
All right, fair enough. They all get to go the distance at least. Dmitry, always really appreciate your time. Let's do this again soon, of course. And yeah, let's maybe do it next week once the Jake Paul fight is ready to be reflected upon.
Sounds great. Looking forward to it.